pick fights. Last night, UFC 256, wanted to do a really quick betting recap. I ended up plus 3.17 units for the night. That's about $15.83, roughly cash profit, 21% ROI. Good night for me. Coming off the worst night I've ever had betting on MMA. I tried to do a little bit of a prop-heavy experiment that failed utterly, and I literally did not hit one prop on the night last week. So I was very excited to get back to where I have been making money, and what was really the big money maker for me tonight, which was betting money line on fights. I had 4 plays on the money line, and I ended up getting 6.95 units of profit, a 34.77 cash profit, 93% ROI, betting on the money line last night for UFC 256. How? It was, buoyed by my largest cash profit, my largest unit profit of the night, 2.9 units profit, Charles Oliveira over Tony Ferguson. Guys, in this matchup, I really thought the line was off. I thought that the line was off, plain and simple. I thought Tony deserved to be a very slight favorite, minus 125, something along those lines, because he's coming off the worst beating of his career. And this is a guy who's already taken a lot of damage. I love Tony Ferguson. I'm a fight fan like the rest of you guys. But, when you're coming off of a performance where you got outstruck, outclassed, and really badly beaten and damaged, it was like 6 months ago. And now he's running it back out here with Charles Oliveira, who's in his prime, who's the class of the division right now with Khabib retired in terms of his grappling, whose striking looked on point for the brief times that they were on the feet. I told the people I was watching that fight with, I expect Charles to be better on the ground. I expect him to be better on the feet. I expect him to be younger. I expect him to be fresher. I expect him to be overall the better fighter. And I think that was just borne out. I think that Tony is on the back half of his career now. I love Tony Ferguson, and I hope that he's able to come back strong. But I just thought that was a really, it's a tough performance to stomach as a Tony Ferguson fan. I think that there were red flags, would be a good way to put it. Shout out Joe Osborne. He mentioned it on the Anik Florian podcast that there were some red flags, in past Tony Ferguson fights that people maybe didn't want to see. And I think when I rewatched the tape, that's what I saw. I saw that Tony looked a little bit slower. And I just think, going into this matchup, plus money on Charles Oliveira, especially, I got it at plus 145. My only regret after this event is that I didn't, take a bigger stab at that. Only 2 units bet on Charles Oliveira because, I'm like you guys. I was a little afraid that Tony Ferguson would do Tony Ferguson things, and, maybe Charles would have some of the flare-ups of his old problems in terms of some of the mental aspects of mixed martial arts. But I thought that Charles performed ably. I thought that Tony, what do you say about that guy? Supremely tough. Unreal toughness from Tony. And he gave it his all. He kept fighting through to the final bell. That's 8 rounds in a row he's lost, guys. 8 rounds in a row. Not a good place to be in your career. And, I'm getting shades of Tyron Woodley. I don't know how everybody else feels, but somebody who was elite at an older age than most people are, but also, the drop-off is significant when you're an older guy facing the young, up-and-coming elite. Where else did we see that on the card? Kevin Holland, Jacare Souza. I had money on Kevin Holland here. I was a little skeptical to bet this fight. I figured if Jacare can get his back at any point, this fight's probably over. But what I also thought about was all of the natural data to fighting said that Kevin Holland should win this fight. He has a plus 9-inch reach advantage. He was 13 years younger. He's coming off of wins, not a streak of losses like Jacare. And I got Kevin Holland at plus 100. Again, another regret I had coming out of this night was just not betting enough on things that I thought were really valuable plays. I mean, Kevin Holland opened, I think, a minus 175 favorite in most places. And he gets bet down to being the underdog. People thought that there was a lot of value on Jacare. I don't know. I think it was borne out that's probably not the case. And, I should have sprinkled a little bit on Kevin Holland by KO because that looked like a pretty sure thing after the fact. And now it was a weird punch, granted. If you're getting knocked out by somebody punching from the bottom, it might be time to look into, what's next. I love Jacare. We all love Jacare. Great fighter. What a freaking competitor. But I think that that was probably the end of the road for Jacare, if not one more, retirement fight or something like that. I just thought, you don't want to see a hero and a legend of the sport just get viciously finished like that, and he was sort of folded back into himself in a way that was really horrifying to watch. So I think that the referee could have saved Jacare from a couple of those. It was also a weird scenario, so I don't fault him too much, but that was my thoughts on that fight. I just thought Kevin Holland at plus money was a little insane. Rafael Fiziev, Renato Moicano, my biggest bet of the night. I had 3 units staked on Rafael Fiziev. I thought people were a little bit overrating Moicano coming into this contest. His last fight against Amir Hadjovic was one of the funnier fight endings I've ever seen in the UFC. I wanted to keep fighting more. Then you shouldn't have submitted me. But, I think that Fiziev showed that there's levels to the stand-up department. I think that he put Moicano's chin back into question. And I think he just looked better, sharper, cleaner, faster, more precise, better shot selection. I think Moicano, didn't look terrible in this fight by any means. I just think he was really, really at a stylistic disadvantage unless he was going to try and wrestle him. And I don't know that he would have had success trying to do that either. But Fiziev, if you're going to stand on the feet with him, which I thought Moicano was probably going to do, is very dangerous. And he could take you out at any time, and he's got pretty sound defense in his own right. So I thought he kept himself safe and delivered hellacious damage very fast. Explosive finish over Renato Moicano. 1.99 units profit there. Really can't complain about that. I like that. Minus 151. I didn't get the best line on Fiziev, and I thought about betting him again because the line had dropped down to like minus 122 or something, right before the fight closed. But I held steady with what I had, and I was glad I did. Made some money there betting Rafael Fiziev. My last play of the night on the money line, Mackenzie Dern. A little closer than I would have wanted. Looked like she was probably, minus 160, minus 180 in that spot, which is where I bet her at minus 162. So I bet her at, actual value. Probably not a great bet in retrospect. Thought about playing some money on Dern by decision, which that in retrospect looks like a really good line that I missed. But what's a man to do? I tried, and I did think that Mackenzie was the better fighter here. I thought that she was going to be better with the stand-up. I think that was largely borne out. I like to see Mackenzie fighting back from adversity. Man, go back and watch the Amanda Hebas fight and tell me that Mackenzie Dern isn't going to try and earn your money if you bet on her throughout. I mean, she could have easily folded up shop and gotten finished like a lot of people probably would have in a fight where they're getting outclassed, where they are really struggling, where they're getting outstruck, out-wrestled, outfought, outthought. She fought the whole time, and she didn't concede, and she didn't, really take too many steps backwards either. Mackenzie Dern was willing, able to trade, to take the shots, and to stay in her face, and she got outclassed by Amanda Hebas. But I didn't think that Verna was on that level. I think that she's a good fighter. I think she made a good display of herself. I thought the power was a big difference tonight. Mackenzie Dern hit, and Verna showed it. And, Verna was only able to get that one really nice knee that split open Mackenzie. Largely she couldn't find sustained periods of success otherwise. She would land shots that just didn't seem to bother Mackenzie in the same way or to get her respect. And I thought that Mackenzie Dern came out there and earned it in the 3rd round, and that was really good to see. So, if you had Mackenzie Dern there by decision, you're a wise man or woman. So God bless. That was my betting performance in terms of the money line. On the parlays, I got my money back, but it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I had Davison Figueiredo to win. I think that Davison probably should have won, but I also think, how can you be mad at a push on one of the greatest fights that we've seen in a long time, one of the best fights this year, one of my favorite fights that I've seen in a long time. I mean, what else can you say? Those guys put it on the line. Brandon Moreno, what a performance. Really exceeded my expectations, and I'm high on Brandon Moreno, and I really like him. I just thought that Davison was really likely to get the finish here. I lost a little money playing Davison inside the distance, but Figueiredo to win pushes in all my parlays. And I also had Cyril Gane in those parlays, so I mean, that money came through for me really easy. Probably should have bet Sorogan inside the distance there too, but what's a man to do? Um, Otherwise, I missed on Daniel Pineda. That was my big miss of the night. I was really baffled by his strategy. Cub Swanson said in the interview afterwards that he said, "Let's get fight of the night," and I want to get fight of the night. I mean, I was baffled. I thought that he was going to really, really aggressively, relentlessly try and wrestle Cub for a submission, which I thought was his best path to victory, given that Cub Swanson's been submitted 7 times in his professional career. And, he wanted to stand and bang with Cub Swanson. I think that if I had known that, I probably would have lined Cub at about a -200 favorite. And, Cub looked great. Cub looked way better than I expected. In part, I was betting Pineda because of the heat streak he's been on, but in part, I was betting against Cub Swanson. I was fading Cub Swanson with his only real win since 2017 being over Kron Gracie, who's a 5-0 fighter. And I was wrong. I was wrong big time. Cub Swanson, man. Coming back off ACL surgery, he looked pretty darn good. And I think that his willingness to exchange was what won him that fight. I think he was just a way crisper striker, and Pineda was willing to exchange, standing in front of him the whole time. I think that the fight was basically over in the 4th minute of round 1 when Pineda got dropped, and I think that he was basically on Dream Street or something, like Dream Street for the rest of the fight. So Cub Swanson proving me wrong, taking my 3 units and burying them in a well. So I think that had I not bet on outcomes inside the distance, it would have been a really, really profitable night for me, guys. So disappointed on that front, but I'm still happy that my parlays stayed intact for the most part, and they'll push in the ways that they didn't. Let's get Bilal Muhammad to cross the finish line for me next week, and the rest of the parlays will come through. So I'm excited. We got one more UFC event for the year. I'm going to be having some wagers on that. I already got Chaos Williams at +135. That line's long gone, folks. He's probably closer to +115 now. I would not be surprised if he closes as the betting favorite. That will be my little nugget to leave you on. So I am excited. I'm grateful for anybody that took the time to watch this. My name is Liam. I pick fights. Please support me on YouTube. Check me out at BetMMA.tips/LiamHeslin. Support my Instagram, my Twitter. Share this with whoever you want. Anybody who's interested in fighting combat sports, I'm your guy. Liam picks fights. God bless you.